It's bubbly, it's refreshing, and it's beloved. It's Prosecco. Welcome back to Hourglass of Wine. I am Jacqueline, and today we have another quick 5-minute recap video. We are going to be talking about the basics of Prosecco. With roughly 660 million bottles produced every year, why is it so popular? Well, today we are going to be figuring that out. So first things first, what is Prosecco and where does it come from? Well, Prosecco is an Italian sparkling wine, and it comes from northeastern Italy. Specifically, it can be made in two different regions, Veneto and Friuli Venezia Giulia, basically the area just above Venice. Now, the production zone will cover a pretty vast and diverse area, both flat plains and steep hilly terrains, and that distinction will actually matter a lot when we come to talk about the quality. We can think of these different levels of quality like a pyramid. At the wide base, we will have Prosecco DOCs. They can be made anywhere within the broader Prosecco production zone. When we move up a layer of the pyramid, we are going to hit the DOCGs, Conegliano Valdobbiadene Superiore, and Asolo. These will come from a more restricted area, basically the historic hilly areas with super steep slopes and limestone soils. And right at the very tip, Rive and Cartizze. These are very specific subzones that represent the absolute best of the best for Proseccos. One easy way to spot the quality on the bottle: DOC bottles will carry a blue sticker, DOCG bottles will have a brown or now a yellow one. So to make Prosecco, do we use a Prosecco grape? Not quite. Well, the grape actually was once called Prosecco. It got a name change to avoid confusion and to protect the denomination name of Prosecco. Now, we call the grape Glera. Glera is a white grape that is indigenous to northeastern Italy. On its own, Glera is a fairly neutral grape. But that's actually its superpower. It's a blank canvas that benefits greatly from the added texture and the flair of bubbles. As well, it can be fairly variable based on the type of terrain where it's grown. Now, by law, Prosecco must contain at least 85% Glera, with the remaining 15% coming from other approved local varieties. But in the best examples, you will often find 100% Glera. Now it's time to turn that Glera, the grape, into Prosecco, the wine. This is usually done through a method called the Charmat method or the tank method. In Italian, you might see it called Metodo Martinotti, for the man that invented it. But here's a quick version. After the base wine is fermented, it will get transferred into a large pressurized tank called an autoclave, where a second fermentation will happen with the addition of extra yeasts and sugars. The CO2 produced during the second fermentation has nowhere to escape in the pressurized tank, so it will dissolve directly into the wine, creating those bubbles that we love. This method is faster and more cost-effective than Champagne's traditional method, and that's a big reason why Prosecco is such a great value wine too. But because it doesn't have a whole lot of contact with the yeasts in the small bottles, it also means that the wine is made to be enjoyed young and fresh. Now, Prosecco can technically be made in other ways as well. The denomination rules do allow for traditional method Prosecco, still Prosecco that's not sparkling, and even ancestral method or col fondo Prosecco with the lees left in the bottle. But by far the most widely recognized one is the Charmat method, which is why we focused on it here. It's the one that made Prosecco a global phenomenon, and it's the method that you will see used to make the vast majority of bottles on the shelf today. And one more really quick note here, you might see the term Millesimato on a Prosecco label. This just means that the wine comes from a single vintage. The year on the label is the harvest year. There weren't any blending of vintages to make the wine. Another variable on the Prosecco label could be sweetness. Prosecco can range from dry to sweet, with each level of sweetness being represented in grams per liter and being represented by a special term. So Brut Nature will be 0 to 3 grams of sugar, and the wine will be bone dry and super crisp. In Extra Brut, we will have 0 to 6 grams. It's still very dry, but we might get a hint more fruit on the flavors. Brut will be 0 to 12 grams, and this is a classic style that most people think of when they hear the word Prosecco. Extra dries are 12 to 17 grams, still not too sweet, with enough acidity that will balance it out, and so you won't really feel the sweet. Dry is another term, with 17 to 32 grams of sugar. The wine will be noticeably softer, and it will be bordering on an off-dry feeling. Demi-Sec. 32 to 50 grams here. The sweetest Prosecco you will generally see on a label, it's almost more of a dessert style wine. So what does a typical Prosecco actually taste like? In our glasses, visually it will be pale yellow, often with a greenish tint to it, and there will be a steady stream of lively bubbles rising to the top of the glass. On the nose, you will usually find crisp green apples, pears, and citrus fruits, maybe a touch of lemon or lime, plus white flowers like acacia or elderflowers. On the palate, it will be light-bodied, fresh, and zesty, with bright acidity and a spritziness that comes from the bubbles. The finish will be clean and relatively short, which is exactly why Prosecco is such a great aperitif, easy drinking, or toasting wine to enjoy young. And there you have it, the iconic Prosecco in a 5-minute nutshell. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you learned something, please leave a like below to let us know, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more wine education. From these 5-minute quick recaps to masterclasses with tastings, with quizzes, and so much more. And if you really want to learn more about Prosecco, check out our full Prosecco masterclass video here. Or if you enjoy these quick 5-minute recaps, check out this playlist here with a bunch of them. I'll see you in another video. Cheers!